Hit that like button, too.
Hit that. Oh, yeah, smash.
Smash.
Look at that.
There you go.
Finish him.
Yeah. Okay, so Billie Eilish gave an interview for British Vogue, and before I get into anything else, it should be noted that her middle name is Pirate. By the way, I almost said he.
Really?
I almost said he because I'm so messed up with the pronouns.
She's got so many middle names there. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Pirate was just one of many.
Pirate is one of them. So while we're on the subject of how awful men are and how they're all the abusers, she said this about men, Billie Eilish. She said, I really think the bottom line is men are very weak. Well, imagine if those roles were reversed. I just think the bottom line is women are really weak. Now, she doesn't say men are really weak, I don't know, maybe just emotionally, or men are weak. And she just says men are weak. Men are weaker than women. And she goes on to say it's just so easy for them to lose it. You expect the dude not to grab you if you're wearing that dress. Seriously, you're that weak. Come on, go masturbate. Okay, good. Let me just point out really quickly before we move on to some other points in this article, which I wouldn't care about if not for the fact that I have to.
Yeah.
Without men, none of this interview would be possible. So the interview was given to British Vogue, obviously a print magazine, printing press, invented by a man, Gutenberg, I don't think. Johann Zahn, a man, invented the camera, of course, for the photo shoot. Arthur Baldwin Turner, a man, invented and created Vogue magazine, though I'm sure men were using the term loosely. The internet, which is where this was largely circulated, was invented, of course, by a man.
During my service in the United States Congress, I took the initiative in creating the internet.
Okay, sorry.
It
was Tim Berners-Lee, but, you know, that was back before new media,
Close.
so Al Gore could just lie completely like that.
Yeah.
And something else to note, her brother, Phineas, produced all of her music and wrote most of it.
Really?
So men are so weak. You needed a man to get started, and you needed a man to make this. Now, look, I think we need each other. That's the issue. No one here is saying that we don't need. I think women are the best of us in a lot of ways, in being compassionate, being nurturing, obviously making a house a home, being great mothers. I think in some professional environments, women are great organizationally compared to men. I think in environments where you need people who can do multiple tasks at once, women are far more efficient than men. And I think, conversely, that men are far more effective at carrying out one high-intensity task, like being in the military or CIA. But chalk one up on the board for you, ladies.
Well, and one of the points that she made, I want to make this because women misunderstand this. They think it's just like we just don't have self-control. When she says, come on, are you serious? You're just going to lose it like that? Go and, you know, what she said, right? We are hardwired for this. You have no idea what it's like. And I mean that. And if any woman out there is pissed off at me right now, you're wrong. You have no idea what it's like to be a 16-year-old male trying not to think about sex. I don't care what you're wearing, just hard enough as it is. But you add on top of it the kind of things that people, kind of dresses or the kind of outfits, or
and
the
to
kind
be clear,
whatever it is,
if any guy touches you inappropriately, they should be buried beneath the tracks.
Absolutely, 100% of the time.
You cannot, and I'll get to some other quotes. You cannot change that man's perception of you.
Right.
That man's perception of you will be primarily sexual. Now, like, say, I want to come home to her after a long day at work.
Yeah.
Kick my feet up. She seems like wife material. No, it's more, you.
It's a chemical reaction inside of us, and that does not give us any excuse to be idiots, right? And men
or to be criminals,
right? And men need to do a better job of helping other men deal with that kind of stuff. But you have to understand, it is not just because men are weak. That's not weakness. There are tons of men who just.
I'm confused. Did you say only 16-year-olds?
Not just 16-year-olds. I'm just saying at that particular moment in time, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, it's pretty difficult to think about anything else. Come on, everyone out there, like guys, comment below. Tell me what was. Okay, look, and I know we have a lot of, and I'm a Christian, but this is just real talk. What was your boner hide method in high school?
Jeez.
Did you go with the uptuck?
How did we go this far?
Or did you did you do the binder hide?
Books.
Right? But books work. Books work, but the problem is it depends on the kind of book.
Well, I think nowadays.
We had to use soft cover binders.
Well,
it's a tablet now.
At that point, it's just a dick imprint like the face in the Frighteners over the bed. My main problem with this interview with Billie Eilish, by the way, is that everything. Let me be really clear about this. So when people, my problem too, I've talked about QAnon in the past, where people think that everything is a cabal of Satanists and child sacrifice. Satanism is actually far more common than people realize, in that most Satanists, if you look at LaVeyan Satanism, they just don't actually believe in God. They reject the archetype of God. And what does that mean? They reject the tenets of the faith, meaning you should espouse the needs of others first. You should love your enemies, right? That you should be held accountable to God, and that you shouldn't simply look inward. So LaVeyan Satanists actually just say the opposite. They say that you should make yourself yourself the God of your own universe. That's what actual Satanism is. It's not blood sacrifice. It's simply saying, hey, there is no God, therefore I'm God. And I think this interview is strikingly reminiscent of LaVeyan Satanism. That's right, I said Satanism. So, let me read you a quote directly from the Church of Satan. Since the Satanists understand that all gods are fiction, instead of bending the knee in worship to or seeking friendship or unity with such mythical entities, he places himself at the center of his own subjective universe as his own highest value. Let's compare this with the Billie Eilish quotes from the article. By the way, a role model for kids.
Of course.
I miss the days when Charles Barkley was a role model, and the worst he did was punch out a fan.
He's a good guy.
That fan deserves it.
Or was that Patrick Ewing? I think both of them did it.
They probably did.
Billie Eilish said, if you're about body positivity, why would you wear a corset, talking about her thing?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you show your actual body? She raises her eyebrows. My thing is I can do whatever I want. Confidence is her only gospel, she says. Yet that intent has been spun into a lot of weird miscommunication. She clears it up. It's all about what makes you feel good. If you want to get surgery, go get surgery. If you want to wear a dress that somebody thinks you look too big wearing, f*** it. If you feel good, you'll look good. You look good. Nope.
No.
Do you know how I know that's true? Because you're not wearing a corset and push-up bra when you're at home binge watching Game of Thrones. You're in your sweatpants. You are putting that on to look good for someone else. Sorry, that's why women wear rouge, to simulate the flushing during a sexual encounter. These are biological facts. These are things that make people attractive to the opposite sex. Then she went on to say, suddenly you're a hypocrite if you want to show your skin, and you're easy, and you're a slut, and you're a whore. If I am, then I'm proud. Well, wonderful. Me and all the girls and hoes and it, let's turn it around and be empowered in that. Showing your body and showing your skin or not should not take any respect away from you. Okay, here's the thing. It does, though. It does.
Yeah.
Shouldn't take any respect. Doesn't matter. Guess what? If a young boy sees it, and here's the thing, you can still be plenty attractive. I will tell you this. As a young, let's just use as an example, we were all sort of young Christians here, right?
Yeah.
And so we would see attractive girls, for example, at church, youth group, or at school.
Yeah.
You would see an attractive girl, and then you would see an attractive girl dressed like a prostitute. Now, they're both the same level of attractive. However, you think of one primarily and only sexually, and you think of another one as one you respect and one who you'd be interested in courting. That's a fact. You can say you wish that it didn't cause men to lose respect for you. It does. I love these pictures, and I loved doing this shoot. Do whatever. Do what you want. Do whatever you want whenever you want. Everything else. I don't know. How about responsibilities? How about love, empathy, compassion, moral virtue, responsibility, discipline? Not everything that's not a Dita Von Teese branded corset push-up bra. There are other things in life that I think you'll find are more important at some point. But again, this is the thing people will say, okay, boomer, even though I'm millennial. It's like, no, hold on a second. There used to be a time when we realized that when people got older, they were somewhat wiser.
Yes.
And other things matter other than, your tits on the cover of Vogue. It's an insane thing. Young women were expected to know and do everything and be everyone's mom when we're like 15. Really?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Your brother created the studio in which you recorded all of and he wrote the songs, and you just said, yeah, put my voice on there. Now, the reason you probably are more marketable is because you're a woman and because you're more attractive and you're probably talented, but your brother's talented as well. This idea, too, this is something that I hear a lot from feminists. And look, this is if you take nothing else today, okay, women, I know we have a significant amount of women watching.
Yeah.
We actually have more and more women watching.
And we love you.
See them in the comments all the time.
No, because a lot of women are saying, I can't find, a lot of our life advice, I can't find men. Well, look, the reason for that is because at some point, women as a whole are going to have to start standing up for what actually matters to them. You can't let the women in the media dominate this message with putting trans in sports and dressing like strippers and saying that men should respect them. And look, at some point, you're going to have to say, you know what, there needs to be a civil war within women. Meaning, some people are going to lose some weaves. There are going to be some tops are going to fly off. Upload it. Oh, you have to be a mom at age 15. And this comes from this myth you see from feminists where they say, we're expected to take care of everything. First off, that's not true. Second, it's we never had a choice. You hear this a lot now. Feminism is about a choice. I agree with that. But we never had a choice, a lot of women will tell you, third wave feminists. Back then, you had to be a stay-at-home mom. No, that's not true. That's not true. You were encouraged to be a mom. and you were taught how to be a good mom and a good wife, just like men were taught how to be a good husband, because these were important roles in society. However, women back then, there were still plenty of women who were working in sciences, women who were nurses, women who were teachers. There weren't many women who were CEOs. Now, some of that is nature, some of that is nurture, because women typically wanted to have children. And you notice this when most women have children and they start families, they don't often want to go back into the workplace because they find it more fulfilling. They find their life more satisfying. They find it more filled with purpose. But this is something they say, well, we never had a choice, right? You're expected to be a mom. No, let me give you some perspective here. You're a young girl, particularly any young girl after, let's say, the 1950s. Every girl watching right now, I want you to be honest. This is a question. Comment below, okay? It's the best thing you can do. And then I want boys to comment below. Young girls out there. When your parents sat you down, you learned, okay, you were growing up, you were maybe going into junior high, maybe you were going into high school. The point is, maybe you were approaching that 15, 16-year-old mark that Billie Eilish was talking about. Did your parents say, hey, by the way, you have to be a stay-at-home mom, you have no choice? Or did your parents say, hey, look, when you grow up, you can be anything you want to be. You can be a career woman. You can, if you're playing, I don't know, some sport, volleyball, you can, assuming that no men come into the sport at this point, you can play sports when you grow up. You can be a CEO. You can be a scientist. You can be a doctor. You can also, it's okay to be a mom. It's okay to be a stay-at-home mom if you want to be a mom. That's something you can do too, as long as you have that choice. Is that close to the conversation you had with your parents? Or did your parents say, hey, you don't have a choice. You have to be a mom. Okay? The world's out there. Don't do anything other than be a mom. Now, contrast that with boys. Let me ask you this. Anyone here, any guy here, Darren, I'm sorry, Dad, I say Darren sometimes because I have to say for people who are Dad, Pops, Gerald, Quarter Black, Garrett, anyone. When your parents had a talk with you, and I remember you having a talk with me when you told me what a man should be, Dad, when you told me what a man would have to do when he grew up, were any of you provided with the choice of, hey, son, now that you're getting older, you're going to have to learn how to provide for yourself. You're going to have to learn how to take responsibility. Oh, and by the way, you can also just be a stay-at-home dad. That's a choice. Was anyone ever even offered that on the table?
No.
It seemed odd.
It never came up.
It's like, go to work.
I'm totally fine.
I'm totally fine, but as soon as we were old enough, as soon as young boys are old enough to understand that they want to have a life and family, we are made very aware, acutely aware, that you're going to have to provide and protect for the rest of your life. That's your responsibility. We don't get that choice. I would argue that women have more choices, and certainly choices with less pressure. And you know what? We want that for you. I want that from. I want women to have that choice.
Right. We wear that proudly. It's not something that we disdain. You're just showing like there is a difference when you're growing up on the expectations.
And just again, comment below, young boys. Sorry, not young. When you were a young boy, and men, maybe you're a young boy right now. We have a lot of young people watching too, and women. What kind of conversation did your parents have? And if they didn't have that conversation, shame on your parents. You guys should all be having that conversation with your children. And I don't have a problem with it. I do think that young men should be taught to be protectors and providers, and to make sure that we take care of the women for whom we are responsible in our lives. And I want that conversation to take place with women, and I want them to have choice. But I want them to appreciate it and not browbeat men every chance they get. Because women, I'm telling you, just like the Black Lives Matter backlash, and just like people now are seeing race more and more, and you're seeing more racism, you are going to see more misogyny and more sexism if you keep vilifying. It's just not going to be a good thing for you.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.